But so we're at this point now, and for the past, this has been about a week,
6 days
week and a
ago.
half or so, 6 days ago. We see the news, and for indie
Yeah.
comics creators like ourselves here, and loving the indie community, and basing this channel primarily on it, what we saw was just like a champion move. Like, wow, this is amazing. And the articles gave some details, little bits on the agreements and whatnot. But it basically, headlines. Creator of Fables is now making Fables a public domain property.
Yep.
Could you dive into maybe what made this happen? What caused you to say, hey, you know what? If this is how it's going to be, I'm just going to make it public domain.
Well, I sort of explain myself in broad strokes. All the people that were anywhere close to being fair and reasonable at DC are gone. They have, over the last few years, been replaced. The fellow Mark Doyle, who first floated the idea of bringing Fables back for the 20th anniversary, he is gone. Dan DiDio, who was still running the DCU at the time and who helped pitch this idea to me and get it going, he's gone.
Yeah.
They've been replaced by a revolving door of anonymous people. I mean, in the 2 years since I finished writing the 12 scripts for these 12 new issues, there have been so many replacements of editors in the Fables, DC, Black Label, whatever they're calling themselves today, offices, that sometimes editors would come into the office never having read Fables, probably barely having read a comic, never having met the outgoing editor, so there was no handover of information or whatever. All they knew from me is that I was some kind of bomb-throwing radical who's very hard to work with and actually gets snippy when we don't do all the things that we're supposed to do according to our contract with him. At some point, I believe it was Larry Gannon, who's still up there, who might be the last, said, yeah, you have trouble hearing from your own editors because they're all afraid of you, which is stupid. I'm a big cuddly teddy bear, honest.
Yeah, I'd say so. Would you say so, Scala?
But
I would say so.
Yeah.
But also too,
yeah,
is from what I've heard from other pros about editorial staff coming in on the Marvel end, on the DC end, is like you said, people coming in that haven't read comics, they don't know the continuity and the legacy and the shoulders of giants that they should be standing on, and
nor do they want to know.
Yeah, right. And nor do they want to know
that they had the love of the medium,
right?
That you need to have.
I was literally told by some very prominent people in private conversation, I'll keep their names out of it, that it has come to the point where when they're working on a book, it's almost like the editor comes in with a checklist from some corporate level saying X, Y, and Z needs to be in the book. We don't care. X, Y, and Z needs to be in the book. Not if it's part of the story, not any elements. You have to have X, Y, and Z in it. And the editors are just coming in and just marching orders, having absolutely no experience in the true storytelling art of comic books.
I believe that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the other side. Go ahead.
No, please. No, I wanted to expound upon what you were saying about they don't have the love for the industry, and Nile then saying that they're standing on the shoulders of the giants, and you say that they don't want to know, but they have not only that, but they have no problem standing on these shoulders of these giants and then pissing on their heads.
Yeah.
It's almost this blatant disregard for what came before. They openly say they want to change comics.
Yes,
they want to change this culture.
Contempt for the properties, contempt for the medium.
Yeah.
On the legal side, on the financial side, the business side of DC, they started being slipshod with royalties. Anyway, one of their lawyers admitted that, look, we don't have any responsibility towards the value of your IP. If we're reducing the value of your IP by letting these licensees piss all over it, we have the right to do so. Nor do we have any responsibility. We are the only ones who can go after someone for abusing your property. You can't do it independent of us. But we don't have to, and to tell you the truth, we don't want to. This response from DC Comics to my fire and shot across their bows here, that this will not stand and they will protect their IP and all this kind of stuff. This is the first time.
I can share that right here.
Yeah, this is the first time they've been willing to protect Fables, and it turns out the one person they want to protect Fables from is me.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and what about and how they refer to it as your IP, you're the creator of, and then they come out with this statement, and the Fables comic books and graphic novels published by DC, and the storylines, characters, and elements therein are owned by DC.
Yeah, that's copyright law. And that is. I think they needed to rush something out, and they may have dug themselves into a bit of a hole there, because I've always known, and anyone who's ever done a creator-owned project with them knows, they always felt like they were the owner, but they could never act as if they felt that way. They couldn't come out and say it. Now they finally come out and said it, that we're the owner.
So they're defending Fables against you, and how interesting is that? As they let all these other properties that you had like you said, you had a 10-year head start on, that inspired them, and all these other writers and stuff who wanted to take a crack at it, they were never allowed to, and then they start the shows Once Upon a Time, etc. What was the other one you said, Grimm or whatever, and it's just.
Very
right. I could see how frustrating this must be for you, and just holy shit.
Yeah, Jimmy has a great comment here, actually, Billy. He says it just is not worth it anymore to create anything new from the ground up for the big two. They have no interest in promoting or partnering with any of us.
That's absolutely true. As I said 2 years ago, when I saw the writing on the wall, I fired DC, which is, I guess, an arrogant move, but I will not do anything with them or for them again, except for try and hold them into this contract that if you're going to insist that this contract is still going to be enforced, then it goes both ways. I've given them the offer. We can meet together and end our contracts with each other, go our own ways. They not only do not agree to do that, they never respond to that. They just the problem with having a lot of problems with the company, to where when you list the things that they're doing wrong contract wise, it's a long list. It's like Martin Luther's was it 13 things that he nailed to the Wittenberg door. Anyway, when they have an entire list, they cherry pick the 2 or 3 things they'll respond to, ignore the rest, and think they've dealt with it. The other option is to send these indictments to them one at a time, which is just another way of, now you're working for them. All your time belongs to them. So there's a few more things about to come. The disadvantage of doing a sneaky here's a maneuver that they weren't expecting because it comes from a direction they never would have believed would happen, is that you can do that once. I can't do some big grand thing again that they don't expect, because unless they're idiots, I've just trained them to look for less than the normal ways of doing it. It's not a gentleman's battle anymore.
Nope, no longer. And now the question, Bill. So what was, again? You're frustrated by them. It's been years coming. You still finished your scripts 2 years ago. For the new book, it's not quite done with that last mini series and maxi series, whatever you want to call it. But when was that FU moment when you're like, fuck this, I'm done, and you made that statement when you made it last week?
The final straw was I've been planning something like this for a while, as in trying to find out what the rules of the public domain were. And it turns out there's lots of knowledge and scholarship and lawyerly advice about how to keep things out of the public domain, which is what every corporation is trying to do, to hold on to these trademarks and such much longer than they should. There was almost nothing I could find about how to specifically put something into the public domain, because no one does that. What kind of an idiot would do that? But the final straw came when I offered DC I don't travel much. I wasn't going to go see them, but look, you guys sent delegations to Europe and England when you had your falling out with Alan Moore, and not to compare myself to Alan Moore, he deserves delegations and envoys sent his way. But you can, get on a plane, let's meet face to face somewhere and hash this out. They came back with no, but we'll do a conference call. And then I got a call from Jim Lee that said, don't worry, I'm in your corner. I will always be a champion of your rights. I will be there at this meeting, and there will be no hanky-panky. And then the phone meeting took place, and they said, oh yeah, Jim Lee's not going to be here. He has no reason to be here. And he decided that there's no reason for him to be here. And that's the one where they lowered the boom as far as saying, look, you can't sue us because we know how much you make. You can't force us to protect the value of your IP because we can do what we want with it. You can't force us to even admit everyone we've made deals with to exploit your IP. We are not going to, we disagree that we owe you any money as your share for anything we do with this. So we're not going to give you the details of our agreement so that you would have an amount to come after us with. And they just blatantly just said, you can't do any of this. And that's when I decided that, okay, there's a fight coming. Is there any possibility of winning it? And if there is, it's got to be something. I'm not going to try the same things that others have tried in the past. Steve Gerber suing for the rights to Howard the Duck and various other things. It's always been hammered down. So let's see if there's other ways to get the same results. And I think part of it is to is to change the arena, take it out of gentlemen's boardrooms and into the back alley.
Yeah.
I mean, what
metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. Well, I congratulate you for making that move. I really do. I think it's honestly, we're all watching it, right? We're all seeing the news. We're seeing what's going on. We see the disrespect, honestly, with a lot of creators that have been in the industry for 20 plus years, not getting the proper recognition, not getting the proper pay still for things they've done, not getting the proper credit. And what you did out there, I think, is a strong move. It's a very strong move. And we actually just got another super chat in. Cecil says, "What's up, Cecil?" They're nuts. Warner Brothers should be keeping Bill happy and start churning out Fables books and movies. Warner Brothers seems to be more interested in propaganda than profit. How much of that is Warner Brothers? Well, actually, let me ask you this question, because obviously, the big two are owned by big corporations. So when it comes to DC's handling, is that strictly DC's handling, or is that Warner Brothers handling?
I don't know where. One of the frustrations was not being able to find out who the DC executives are answering to. They will not reveal that information to me, because I wanted basically to go over their heads and say, okay, look, these guys are screwing the pooch here. Maybe you want a chance to fix it because you're about to lose it. They aren't about to reveal who those people are. So the answer is I can't tell you. But
okay,
I can tell you this much. DC, what they did, and not just to me, I mean, this goes back decades, makes a lot of sense when you think in terms of corporations and answering to shareholders and such. DC will never have to answer for all of the wonderful properties and profits they would have made if they just, for example, kept Alan Moore happy. If they didn't try and cheat him in small, petty ways, who knows if he's happy, what he would have continued to create for them over the past 40 years. There's never going to be a way to figure out how much that would have been, what their losses are. There are losses, and they must be huge, but they're all potential. They're all, nebulous fantasy losses. There's no way a board member can say, we've lost this much because you couldn't keep him happy. But they pissed it away for relatively a few dollars just because they tried to cheat him on some merchandise with the Watchmen watches. It's just like, no, you don't get any part of this because this is advertising. That small little bit of pettiness, which, that was the nail for one of which the shoe was lost, the horse was lost, the battle was lost, etc. But they can measure that. They can measure, well, this is how much we kept by cheating Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons out of their share of this. That's the corporate mindset. That is the answer to the board of directors. They will never know what they could have done, Fables wise, profit wise, in what would happen if, because they don't think in those terms, and they cannot. They don't hire people that can think in those terms.
Right.
So it is inevitable this was going to happen. It's the old, at some point you work with lions and tigers. It's, they are going to turn on you someday. It's just, how much good entertainment can you get before that happens? I am chagrined by the way DC is acting in this case. I'm not surprised. I would be stupid beyond belief to have been surprised by this.
Yeah. Now with the kind of this back and forth, this growing, I don't want to say animosity, but this growing concern with DC and stuff. Now with the sales of the graphic novels and the books and everything, Are you comfortable that they've been honest with sales and everything with you on top of this? Do you trust, that their accounting has, have been just with the sales of everything, or is that something to
Not a
look
bit.
at?
No, as a matter of fact, I keep catching them on. So the last time I held their feet to the fire that they have to redo their sales, they found $30,000 worth of undeclared royalties that they owed me.
Wow.
There's another round of that coming up with their latest royalty report. You have to be something of a forensic accountant to see what are they leaving out, here's everything they're admitting to, what are they not reporting. It really is in a just world, they would not only have to, when I'm forced to hold their feet to the fire and you have to revisit this royalty report and this one and this one and this one. I don't get paid for any of that, and it actually works out. If they miss $30,000 of royalties and it takes me half a year to catch it, they had a third.
Yeah, so it's almost like, why not put it in the public domain? Because they're not friggin' paying you for the darn thing anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
so thank you for the bold and generous move of giving your characters to the public domain. What do you say to people who claim the shared copyright on the issues of Fables means that you don't own the characters and setting?
My take on it, in a nutshell, is this. Every single one of the indicias show that I own the trademarks for all these characters, and that DC and I jointly own the copyright. Now, DC is saying that they own the copyright.
Right.
Well, what happened to my half of it? If I also own the copyright, then I literally have the right to say, make copies. Either it exists or it doesn't, and we're going to find out. I hope we're going to find out. We'll see. But DC has made their statement only by virtue of they're the big bully right now and are used to getting their way. We'll see if that holds up.
Are you done with Fables? You've taken control of your own destiny with your own creator-owned IP. That even DC, the copyright trademark says it's yours in their indicia, and you put it out there. You gave it as a gift to everyone. You can do whatever you want with it. Now, what about you? Is this the end of Fables for you? Have you thought about Kickstarters, Indiegogos, yourself, crowdfunding to maybe do one last or do another, like a 48-pager or a mini series or something like that?
The contracts between me and DC still exist. My point is that for those of you out there who now also own Fables 100%, those contracts don't exist for you. They do for me. DC and I are locked together until that is resolved in some definite way. So don't look for any new Fables from me. Now, that said, it looks like the rest of this 12-issue revisitation of Fables in the Black Forest, the 3 missing issues will come out. I just did the final corrections on issue 160, whose subtitle says something like in which politics rears its ugly head. So it's very timely for what I'm going through right now. But yeah, it looks like they're going to come out. But like I said, I finished those scripts 2 years ago. I'm done with DC. So as long as DC still has something to do with Fables, I'm probably done with Fables. I am not done with storytelling. And if I really want to stick it to DC, I'll be more than, I am just petty enough to come out with a new book about Snow White and the Big Bad Wolf, who are not the same Snow White and the Big Bad Wolf from Fables, but are a different take on public domain characters. just to tweak those arrogant idiots in the nose.
Yeah.
I can be that petty.
Now, Bill, you said you were pretty much being ignored by them for your request for DC until you issued that statement.
Yeah.
Who was it that actually contacted you? Did anyone contact you in person via phone, or was it just? Did they
no. They issued that statement. They have not contacted me. They have not spoken to me since.
Holy shit!
I suspect whatever's going to happen is, and maybe deservedly so, is going to come at me as a surprise. As what I gave them plenty of warning that this thing was coming without actually saying what it was. I don't expect the same courtesy from them, but I do expect some kind of response from them. But see, I believe that the statement that came out, as badly worded as it was them scrambling. They don't do anything quickly. This was almost unheard of for them to release something so quickly, but they had to stop the bleeding quickly.
Correct.
And now that they've got that out there, they're probably taking a more measured, like, what do we do now? That's my guess. If I could think like them, I would be like them, and then I wouldn't much like myself, would I?
Yeah. So is this a done deal? Is this actually going to happen, or is this in the process of trying to happen?
What's that?
Getting Fables into public domain.
Well, either it happened or it didn't. I suspect it did.
Yeah, you declared it.
You can't. Public domain, from what I can tell you, you can't say, just kidding, folks. I'm taking it back. You can't do it. There's no precedent, though, that I could find for something like this. So I guess we'll see. The problem now is that we're living in an age where judges and such don't feel compelled to follow the law so much as follow what they want the law to be. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, do you have to file the paperwork, or you can just declare it?
There is no paperwork for putting something in. Putting something purposely into the public domain is a unicorn. There's almost no precedent for it. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a single public domain lawyer who could even understand my question, much less speak authoritatively about it. So no, there's no form to file.
Okay.
If it's possible, I've done it. If it's not possible, then actual ownership of properties doesn't exist, because if you can't do what you want with your own stuff,
exactly,
not your own stuff.
And you could feel the frustration. You could read the frustration and feel it in your statement, and how you were saying that the company that you went into an agreement with Fables is not the same company anymore. Those
no longer exists.
Yeah, it no longer exists. Your champions like Jeanette and like Dan, who were always in your corner, always supported you, pushed you, they're gone. They were tossed aside. They were tossed out. And now you're dealing with a company that I don't even know if they have a permanent office now, because no editor has an office. They're switching cubicles.
Right.
That shows how mercurial this company is right now. So what and then how they come after you with this. That is something yours. You could it reeks of such desperation on their part, because it seems like the lunatics are running the asylum over there.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question for you. I don't know if this is something you can answer. However, so I know you talked about Dan DiDio and having a good connection with him when doing stuff. You talked about Jim Lee having your back and everything, and kind of something I always wondered. Jim Lee was
Jim Lee said he had my back. He didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a man without honor.
Yeah. With Jim Lee, obviously he had his fame with Marvel, right? And he's one of the guys that helped launch Image and this big revolution, blah blah blah. Then he goes over to DC. I mean, is he so disconnected now? Where he currently is, that did he well, maybe he never knew, but is he so disconnected now with the guys that were making these amazing books and everything to where we are now with comics?
I don't know. Those that speculate that he is just a figurehead, I can see some sense in coming to that conclusion. But I don't know them. I've had several conversations with him, and even had a very convivial dinner. I think it was his birthday dinner with him once. But I don't know the man. I cannot speak to his character other than how he's interacted with me, which is to call me up, blatantly lie to me for 20 minutes, and then dismiss me as if I didn't matter, which is his prerogative. I do not need to matter to him, but he does not thereby earn any respect from me as a result.